What's going on, everybody? TheKennyDubz here with another Mega Man X dive video. Now this video has been long overdue. A little bit of background why this tier list is coming so much later than my initial one, because I wanted to have these on a monthly, maybe semi-monthly or bi-monthly kind of thing. We were told at one point that we're gonna get, the big update where more units are going to get their DNA passives. So I wanted to wait, thinking that would happen soon. But really, it was soon TM. So what ended up happening was, I put off the video, and I was like, okay, well, the update should happen soon. But they didn't happen very soon, so, a bit of time went by, and I was like, okay, well, if I make the video now, we might get the update next week, so then the video might be incorrect, or, like my thoughts might change about the tiers. So it was just a cycle of that, basically. I was like, I don't want to put this out, have the update come, and then I was like, just put the video out. Anyway, so yeah, here we are with my next Mega Man X Dive PvP tier list video for the global version of the game. One more thing I want to note real quick. LATAM and NA/EU have a few different units. I'm not entirely sure which units they are. I think it's just a few of the swimsuit units for the summer. So I'm going to put those accordingly just to not leave those out. I'm changing up a few things about the tier list. As you see here, right off the bat, immediately, I added a double S tier, or SS tier. Put Proto Man up there. I had him in S tier last time with the rest of the units, but that was partially because I didn't want to have a tier literally labeled Proto Man. But also, I don't want to have too many tiers now. It's like I don't want to have, S+, S-, A+, A-, things like that. But I opted to just go for SS for Proto Man because he is a fantastic unit in PvP. Some people would probably disagree with that because they don't like him, but he is a fantastic unit for PvP regardless. Cool. So after that, you might be able to see at the bottom here, there are a lot of things down here. If you don't want to get spoiled, you could look away now, except you can probably see it already, unless like I edit that out so like you can't see it. Because I added a tier at the bottom, but units that are unreleased, because I frequently get questions about where it's like why isn't Unit X on this list? For the last one I put up, well, that's because they're not in global. Like that's why I titled it and I prefaced it by saying these are the units that I would rank that are out in global, because at the time, in February, they were not out in global. So I didn't put them on the list because putting them on the list at that point wouldn't have much of an effect. Sure, you would know where I would put them, but at that current point in the meta game, right? That unit's not out, so it doesn't really hold much value because no one can use it, right? So there is that. Outside of that, that's it. So let's get started here by scrolling down here. And like I said, unreleased, a lot of unreleased units here. So if a unit is here, it is because they are unreleased, and that's basically it. First up is Akuma. Oh god, this is going to take a little bit of scrolling here. So I think Akuma is very, very good. He's from the Street Fighter event, Street Fighter collab, but I don't think he's as good as a lot of people are making him out to be. I'm not putting him in C tier. I have to drag him up this way. I would put him maybe like mid to high A tier. No, I definitely put him high A tier. Like right on the cusp of S tier. Like I said, I think he's very good. I just think he's a bit overrated. He does have a one tap in his I don't know the name of the move. It's not Shingoku Satsen, I think. But he has a one tap. He pierces iframes with it, or can at 5 stars. His DNA is about in the Taiwan version, but that's not out in global. And he can stack up weakened attack status, which is very, very nice as well. But a lot of people are kind of making him out to be as good as Proto Man EXE, but he's not as good as Proto Man EXE. But yeah, I do think he's very, very good. I might put him low S tier, to be honest, but yeah, I think I put him low S tier, high A, low S. Yeah, I think that is good for Akuma there. Base GS. Now this unit just came out recently in global, and I know people really, really like Base GS, and I like Base GS too. That's why it pains me to do this. I think I put him somewhere in C tier. Maybe mid to high C tier. Low B at best, but I don't think he's that good for PvP. Something else I should note, I'm not necessarily putting units where I think they would go in terms of being better than another unit. Like, I wouldn't necessarily put Sigma as being better than the rest of the things I have in S tier, right? I just put Sigma in S tier, and like, because organizing them that way gets really, really complicated when taking into effect DNA passives and like inherited DNA. So somewhere in S tier, which maybe I might even move him down a little bit because we have more units. He does still have a very good Proto Man EXE matchup. But outside of that, I don't think he's all that great. So maybe I would move him down to like lower S tier at this point. Maybe even A tier, because we have so many more units now that can more units and more weapons that can help us deal with Proto Man. I do still think he has a very, very good matchup. He might have a decent Akuma matchup too, actually, because Akuma can't pierce his iframes as long as his preventative shield is active. So that's pretty solid for him as well. But yeah, base GS, I don't know, like somewhere in here. He has powerful moves, but they have such long cooldowns, and depending on how you deal with your Vanishing World, it can have a very, very good chance to KO. But to do that, you need to focus your attack on the actual beam. That means you don't get the explosion aftermath damage. So if your opponent dodges or they're not stunned, you miss out on that damage. That kind of sucks. I think it's much better for PvP, but not so great for PvE. Next up, we have Classic Base. And Classic Base, I'm going to plop right up here in high A tier. Mid to high A tier. Classic Base, I think, is very, very solid. He has iframes in his booster kick that gives him a little bit of mobility as well. And he can skill seal you. He can skill seal and weapon seal, which is fantastic. And then he can also immobilize. That's great. You know, that is very, very nice to have. He doesn't have shield inherently, but I think he has, I forgot what it's called. Animosity. That's what it's called. I had to go look it up real quick because I knew he had it, but I don't remember what it's called. He has a passive where if he hits a target that's invulnerable, he also gains invulnerability, which is crazy on its own, right? But also, that effect can trigger on its own when he's taking damage. So it's like a mini chameleon chip to have active. I don't know what the trigger rate of it is because the game won't tell me that, but it can only be triggered once every 3 seconds, and that is very, very nice. Especially like if you just hit someone else that has iframes active, like maybe you hit Sigma during a parry, and you know he tries to counterattack, but he can't because, well, he still can, but you know, just won't do very much because you also have some invulnerability frames. Now, Bridal Aelia, I think, is a very, very interesting unit. She just got her DNA recently in the Taiwan version as well, and she's one of those units that I think is a low-key sleeper, just based off her overall kit. She's very, very defensive, and I think that defensive utility can come in clutch. But it's because she's so defensive that she doesn't really stand out all that much, if you know what I mean. So I think I would put Aelia in, I think I would want to put her low B tier. I think she has potential to be like a bit of a tankier unit if built correctly with a specific, you know, like a more niche weapon build and like DNA, inherited DNA and stuff like that. It'd be nice to toy around with her, but I don't have her. But I think that's where I'd want to put her. I'm not too confident where if I want to put her in B or C just because of that really niche build. But I do think she might be one of those units that can catch people off guard with how defensive she can be. Next up, we have Bridal Layer, and I think I would put Bridal Layer around the same area as Bridal Aelia. They both do kind of, it's not like they're weird, right? But Bridal Layer has the heart mechanic, much like Cinnamon, and her kit is based around that. And I want to say it's quite useful. I don't remember what her DNA does. Actually, I don't even think I've looked at it. I just know that it's kind of there with her rerun banner, so I'm not entirely sure where I want to put her. So maybe I'll drop her into C tier right now because I'm actually not sure. have to look into her a little bit more, but she does have access to nice things in her kit, such as Confusion, Immobilize, Preventative Shield, and things of that nature. So she definitely has some utility in her kit, which can be quite useful as well. Next up, we have Chun-Li, and I really like Chun-Li. Of all the Street Fighter units, I think Chun-Li is probably my favorite one. And I think Chun-Li is I think she might be underrated. I think both she and Ryu are a bit underrated, but that's probably because of how much the differential is between Chun-Li and Akuma. Or, I'm sorry, these Ryu, Chun-Li, and Akuma is. Like, Akuma is the best one by far for PvP, right? So, I think because of that, a lot of people sleep on Chun-Li and Ryu. So, I think I'm going to put both of them up in A tier, actually. I think at the very least, low A, high B for the both of them. Chun-Li is probably a little bit lower than Ryu. But Ryu actually, well, he has stackable defense buffs, which is great. But his S1, his skill 1, I don't know what it's called, but it's the one that gives him the, you know, that black aura, that kind of Street Fighter like aura, and it gives him access to his Denki Hadoken, I believe. That status allows him to just inflict Immobilize when he's attacking, regardless of if it's, you know, his weapon or his skills, right? And that's really, really good. So I'm not too sure why a lot of people are really sleeping on him all that much. Like I said, I think it's because he came out in the same event as Akuma, and Akuma just has a lot more offensive potential with being able to one-tap. But Ryu with like a sprayer would probably be pretty good. You give him like the freezing dominator, or heck, even the snowy spray gun. You can immobilize and slow them. So even if you don't finish them off, you can have a chance to stun them. And the stun is huge, right? As long as the enemy doesn't have preventative shield, you will be able to like CC them pretty consistently. And as for Chun-Li, Chun-Li also has stuns in her kit. She has weapon seal. I think she has access to skill seal as well. She has inherent healing in her kit. She has speed boosts. And I don't remember if it's attack or if it's a defense boost based on her speed that she gets. But Chun-Li has some nice things in her kit as well. I don't remember the name of the skill, but the one that with the flurry of kicks, that's actually really nice. It does a huge chunk of damage if you can connect most, if not all of them. So you might want to put that with the Immobilize chip, so that you get the Immobilize, and then you can connect with the majority of your hits there, right? So maybe you do your spinning bird kick over to the opposition, and then you hit them with the kick. It's pretty good. Next up, we have Colonel. And let me tell you, Colonel is someone I really want to like. And honestly, I do like Colonel. The problem with Colonel is he's, like I said in my preview video when I was going over him, he's Diet Proto Man EXE. Oh, what does that mean? Well, he's Proto Man EXE, but a lot worse, right? His Blinking Slash is basically Proto Man Step Sword, but a lot weaker. And his Shockwave is basically, well, Proto Man Sonic Boom, but a lot weaker. But what Colonel does have in his kit, Colonel has status effects, right? And one of the status effects he has is Confusion. And I think that comes off of his Shockwave. He also has access to, I think similar to Proto Man. I think he has inherent player killer, and then inherent melee mastery. Yes, yeah, I had to look it up. He has inherent player killer, and he has guaranteed hit with Confusion, right? Which disables your auto aim, doesn't actually confuse you in this game. It's a little bit weird how they word that, but there's also a chance for him to gain a preventative shield, which is quite nice as well. Alongside that, he has in his 5-star passive, he has mitigation inherently from players as well. So there's damage for players and damage mitigation from players. 100% Confusion. I think he's pretty decent. He could be a lot better. He has his own card. He has melee mastery. Actually, he has 2 cards. But it's just his attacks don't do as much damage as Proto Man, and I think that hampers him a lot. I'd put him in high C tier. I want to put him low B tier, but I don't think he can perform inherently all that well. I think you'd have to combo him with specific weapons and DNA for him to perform a lot better and overperform. So like with a lot of other characters, I'm gonna put him in C tier, unfortunately. Now that doesn't mean that I necessarily think he's bad, right? I just don't think he's, you know, outstanding in what he can do, because like I said, he's Diet Proto Man EXE, so you could just use Proto Man and get, you know, a lot better results most of the time. Copy X is pretty good. I'm not gonna hold you. Copy X has a lot of flexibility with what he can do. He has Nova Strike, which is quite nice. He has a heal, which triggers once per stage. However, with his DNA, it can trigger, I think once every 60 seconds for his heal, which is really nuts, considering that he goes from once a stage to once every 60 seconds or so. That's really, really good. I'm gonna put him in S tier. Like I said, he has a lot of flexibility with what he can do. He has iframes. His DNA is great. He doesn't have access to his DNA right now, but I still think he's good enough to go into S tier. Next up, we have Harp Note. Harp Note is another one of those units that I like, and before going into too much, I'm just going to put her right in A tier, right? Because Harp Note, I think Harp Note is a very, very good unit. One of her passives is that she starts HP with a huge shield, which is already great. She has access to Skill Seal, Immobilize, which is great. Just great all around. Some of her attacks also ignore terrain, which is good. And she has Out of Control as well, which Out of Control works as how you would think Confusion works, so it reverses your controls. And I think that's great alongside with, you know, what else she can bring to the table. So I think she's a very, very worthy candidate to put into A rank. It'd be great if she could trigger the shield more than once, but her shield only triggers once per stage. Her DNA, however, makes her a lot bulkier. She can heal, she gains a fat defense buff, and, you know, damage mitigation. But we don't have her DNA yet. I think even with her DNA, I might just move her from mid A tier to like upper A tier. I don't know if she'd make the jump to S tier. Since we're just talking about Harp Note, let's move over to Rogue, and I'm just gonna put Rogue right in S tier, high S tier. Rogue just has so much potential for burst damage. He can skill spam, or I guess skill combo, I guess is how I should put it, because he can, one of his passives allows him to, I don't remember if it's passive or it's a skill chip, lets you use one skill, and then use another skill, and then use the other skill again, right? So it's like, kind of like UAX with his charge shot. You Nova Strike, charge shot, and then you can Nova Strike again. It's the same thing with Rogue, right? So you go Rogue Fist, Rogue Break, Rogue Fist. And that's just a huge amount of damage right there. He also has Lock on Nullification, which is great. He can spawn in an EM barrier, which is pretty cool, because like every 6 seconds he gains invincibility effect, which is nice. Just like his fight in Star Force. So I love that flavor text right there. So that's pretty cool. And, you know, he has to be good because he actively wields Nightmare. So if they didn't make Rogue good, I feel like they'd be doing a disservice to him entirely. So Rogue, fantastic unit. Easy S tier. Next up, Harpooya. Now, Harpooya, I know, is a unit that a lot of people are like, you know, Harpooya's dog water, right? But like, I definitely don't agree with Harpooya being dog water, right? Like, I don't think he's the best, but I don't think he's dog water. And a lot of the reason that people give for him being dog water is that his triple slash takes too long to activate. But I think I mentioned this before. I think that's just if you're trying to spam out the triple slash abilities. Because when I've used Harpooya, if I tried to spam the button for triple slash, it didn't come out that fast. Like, you know, it came out very, very slowly. But if I did timed button presses, it seemed to come out faster, right? So I'm not sure if it's one of those things where you have to use a timed input, or otherwise, you know, the game won't exactly do it correctly. But he has two abilities, obviously. He has a movement ability in Sonic Boom, which leaves behind a bit that can inflict stun, or I'm sorry, immobilize, which is great. He has triple slash, which is great. He has inherent speed boost. He has inherent showtime. He has inherent damage. Yeah, I guess technically inherent damage mitigation, because he uses his abilities to weaken the target, so that in turn allows them to deal less damage to you. He's not all that defensive though, so it might not help all that much until we get to his DNA. After we get his DNA, he can bestow himself a shield, which is great because he gets a shield by using triple slash, and triple slash is what inflicts a stackable attack debuff onto the opposition. So on top of you getting a shield, you're also weakening the damage that your opposition does, which is great. He also has a passive that if you equip 2 melee weapons, or I'm sorry, a DNA passive, if you equip 2 melee weapons, you reduce the damage you take by 30%, right? And that is a lot of damage reduction just for having 2 melee weapons equipped. You know, not accounting for, you know, whatever, like maybe defense boosts you have or things of that nature, alongside the damage reduction you get from his attacks. So I think I'm gonna put him in low B tier at the very least. Because of that, I think that's very, very worthwhile. I'm gonna have to play around a little bit to see if I want to keep him there or not, but you know, there's that. Next up, we have Thunder Beam Mega Man. I had to think for a second because so I said this in the video where I was going over Thunder Beam Mega Man. I confused Thunder Beam Mega Man with Thunder Claw Mega Man from Mega Man 8, but Thunder Beam is from Thunder Man, not Clown Man. So that's why I paused there for him when I was like, am I saying the right thing? So Thunder Beam Mega Man is a decent A rank unit, but it's not that I think he's bad. I think he could be a lot better, but I think I'm gonna put him, you know, put him high C tier. High C. I think he has potential to be a little bit higher with his kit. He has Showtime. He has inherent Immobilize, almost said Stun and Paralyze, inherent Immobilize when using skills. So that's cool. I don't know how often that triggers, so it could be a bit inconsistent with that. But just the inherent chance to stun. I also inherent Showtime when he's using his, I don't remember which move it is. It's not the one that he shoots out from his Buster. It's the one, it's kind of like the Giga Attack like ability. He gets Showtime on that. He gets iframes and Showtime on that. So that's pretty good. Next up, we got the boy. We got Dark Nut the boy. We have Sato if he was evil. Okay, I shouldn't have said that. But I know Sato really likes Mega Man Legends. I do as well. But I think Sato really, really likes... I don't like calling him Dark Nut. Mega Man Volna Alt, right? I like call him Dark Mega. I think he goes in B tier. That's just it. He has a lot of healing in his kit. He has attack buffs. He has defense buffs. And I think that's all just very, very valuable stuff, right? I think he has I don't know if he has Immobilize in it, but he has iframes, he has stun, he has kind of AoE damage, he has stackable crit shot as well. Alright, so I just double check. It's not until his DNA that he gets to Immobilize, but I'll keep him in B tier anyway, because he does have like I said, he does have crit stacking, he has attack buffs, he has healing. So I'm gonna leave him in B tier because of that. Next up, Omega. So I wasn't entirely sold on Omega previously. I didn't think he was bad, but I didn't think he was that great either. However, even with that said, I think I'm gonna slide him into low B tier. Let me think a little bit about this. Because all his attacks stun, but if you have preventative shield, Omega's kit is kind of, and then he has to play around you getting preventative shield. But if you don't have preventative shield, I think he's an A rank character. Easily A rank. So maybe I just put him here. Because under ideal conditions, you just stun lock your opposition and they kind of sit there and can't do anything about it. Unless they stack stun resistance or mobilize resistance, they need preventative shield in order to approach Omega. And then once his DNA drops, I think I'd move him up to S tier because he can just pierce preventative shield once his DNA drops. So yeah, I think I'll put Omega in A tier. I know I wasn't that sold on him initially because I was like, oh, you know, just get preventative shield and then, you know, Omega doesn't do much. But if I'm applying that logic, I also have to think about, okay, what happens if I don't have a Ring of Shield, right? If I don't have a Ring of Shield, I can't really approach him. So then I have to like play like the, you know, the waiting game. I have to play more safely. I have to poke from afar, you know. So I think Omega's A tier because of that. Roll Casket. Ooh. So again, I'm a big Mega Man Legends fan. I like Roll Casket. I think she's pretty cool. I like the, you know, the synergy she has with Mega Man Walnut and Mega Man Legends. But right now, I don't think she's that great. On her own, right now, pre-DNA, I'd probably put her somewhere in C tier. To be quite honest. I would love to bump her up, but maybe at best low B tier is probably where I'd put her right now. But once she gets her DNA, I would 100% move her upwards. But right now, I think C tier. She is a very, very defensive unit, right? And I've talked before about how defensive units are very, very slept on. However, like I said, right now she's not full. Like, she can't reach her full potential. She doesn't have her DNA. She's still a defensive unit, so you're not going to be, you know, out there just one-tapping people with her, right? Like, she's a more like kind of sit back, take advantage of the situation kind of user, right? But right now, I don't think she's that great in the current state that she's in. Wait, Servbot, Servbot's adorable, but you go right in D tier. I'm sorry, Servbot. Like, I really like Servbot. Servbots are adorable. I do like the, you know, the curry rice, the shield, the giant Servbots and things like that. But he has RNG in his kit, and I really, really don't like that. His shield isn't that strong either. He does get healing. The heal isn't that great, but for a free unit, I think he's fine. I just don't think he's that great in PvP. 100% usable, like every unit on this list is. But he's definitely going to require a lot more effort if you want to get value out of him. Next up, X4 Sigma. I like this unit, but I think low C. I don't think he's that great. He's okay. He could have been a lot better. Pre-DNA, I don't think he's really that great to use. He can pierce terrain, which is pretty cool. He's got melee mastery and he has player killer, so that's all pretty cool. He has his own card. But pre-DNA, I don't think he's that good. Even with DNA, I still don't think he's good enough to bump him up too far. But I think he'd be a little bit higher than low C if he has DNA right now. Next up, Star Force Mega Man. Oh god, I love the Star Force theme. Star Force is, honestly, I think Star Force is a lot more enjoyable than I thought it would be initially. But that has nothing to do with this tier list. I'd plop you like right. How many units are here? Like in the mid C tier, I think is where I would mid to low C tier put Star Force Mega Man. He has decent damage. He doesn't really have much utility though. He can amplify his damage depending on what weapon you have equipped, be it sprayer, machine gun, or launcher, I believe, are the chips for his, I think it's for air spread, have the chips for that. Yeah, it's for his air spread. What he does have, though, is he has link power, which is pretty cool. And once we get his DNA, he gets a lot better. But prior to that, I even with that, I think it's the only he'd be down here. All right. So next up, I'm actually gonna do White Day Axel. I think White Day Axel is very, very slept on. I'll put him in B rank. Now, I think he's mid B rank actually. White Day Axel, I actually really, really like after getting him and playing with him for a little bit, because the only thing I've experienced from people with White Axel is people are just saying he's bad, but they don't say why he's bad. I was like, well, why is he bad? He's bad. Great, thanks for your explanation. I appreciate it. Useless. So white actually has a lot of utility with him, and I didn't really get that until I pulled him and started playing with him, right? His first ability, his marked shot, it can mark a target, which I believe amplifies damage they take, but also he can seal one of their abilities with it. He can either weapon seal or he can skill seal. Or, actually, he has one more thing he can do. He can jam them, right? And what jamming does is that removes all their buffs. Now, I think that's the weakest one of the abilities you can put onto his shot, because I think that's a lot more situational, unless we move towards an era where it's all about, you know, it's going to be all about characters that buff rather than characters that have utility and that can one tap you, right? But if you skill seal someone, that's pretty good, right? Because if they're skill seal, that means they can't use their skills. All they can do is rely on their weapons, right? And we know how good skill seal is because of units like Proto Man EXE, right? So he can step sword, skill seal you, so you can't use your skills to, you know, your movement skills to get away, provide iframes, things of that nature. So we already know that skill seal is very, very good as it is. Now, you can also do weapon seal if you want, but I think skill seal is a lot better, and that's probably the chip you're going to be going for. And then his other skill is Pedal Twister. It doesn't have the greatest range, but you know, it's just a skill you can use. It goes farther than you think, but less than I would want, right? So it's not bad, but it's not the best. And then on top of that, Axel also has shield access, right? When you hit a target with his S1, his marked shot, you can gain a shield, which is a pretty decent shield. On top of that, you can have the mark ignore preventive shield once he gets to 4 stars. So once you get to 4 stars, you hit a target with your marked shot, they're marked, you activate it, you know, you do the follow-up, they get skill sealed, you have your shield, you can now approach them safely. Pretty good. Alright, so next up, Valentine's Day Seal. I think Valentine's Day Seal is pretty good. I think I'll put her right around low A rank. So Valentine's Seal, she has a cyber elf thing. Like it's so funny. So like mini tangent. It's so funny that regular Seal is kind of really bad for PvP, but like every other Seal they make is really good for PvP. Now I think that's because Seal is a more popular character, so they want people to have more access to Seal, or maybe it's because Seal's a popular character and they want to make money. But I digress. Like I said, Seal has a little bit of utility in her kit. She has a Cyber Elf again, and she has her Auto Chocolate Factory. Auto Chocolate Factory is pretty decent. You get enhanced defense status while replenishing the Chocolate Elves. And you also have access to things like slows. You have iframes like in the Chocolate Factory. You have your Cyber Elf, who's there as a summonable unit with a low cooldown to kind of handle your light work for you, right? And you can have it auto track what it's shooting at as well, which is very, very nice. On top of that, with our Auto Chocolate Factory, it has like a little vacuum effect, and what you can do is, if you can stun the opposition with a weapon, you can use your Auto Chocolate Factory, vacuum them towards you, and then you seal their weapons, right? So that's very, very helpful. It's not as good as Skill Seal, because if I get sucked towards you, and I'm using like UAX, I can just Nova Strike out of it, or Nova Strike out of it with, you know, something else or whatever. It doesn't really matter what. But it's still quite a nice thing to have. Seal does have defense capabilities in her kit too. She has Player Sentinel, and her Chocolate Factory gives her a defense buff, I believe. So that's quite nice as well. Valentine's Day Roll, or Iris. All right, so Valentine's Day Iris is gonna plop her right in B rank. I think that's fine for Valentine's Day Iris. Now I could put her a little bit higher, as she does have Skill Seal in her kit, which is very nice. She has Mobilize in her kit as well. But other than that, I'm not too sure about it. She doesn't do all that much damage, but she can kind of control the tempo of the fight a little bit. I don't think she has too much defensive capabilities either, so I think B tier, or low B is... Wait, where did I put her? Did I not put her in B tier? Wait. Okay, no, yeah, I did right here. Yeah, so I think B tier is right. Maybe a little lower B tier. Maybe like down here. So I've been kind of avoiding these two at the front here because they're in LATAM but not NA or EU yet. Swimsuit roll. Swimsuit roll is really good. I think she just goes in high. I think she just goes in S tier. Maybe low A. Maybe high A, low S. Like she's just really good. One of her skills just gives her a fat shield that does damage to anything when it comes to contact with. Alongside, you know, it can weaken their attack as well. So that is great already. She has her other skill, which has insane range, right? Depending on the chip you have, you're gonna go with the chip that gives her insane range because it's really no reason not to. She can gain enhanced defense when she's getting hit, and I'm pretty sure that stacks that works if you're getting hit behind a shield. So there is that as well. So swimsuit roll is just really good. Next up, we have swimsuit layer. I'm not gonna lie, I feel like I don't know enough about swimsuit layer to give her an accurate placing. I want to put her in B tier though. She has showtime, which is pretty cool. She can gain enhanced crit that stacks, so she can just be a crit master. So she might be really good for her raids, to be honest. She has melee mastery, which is quite nice. And she has skill enhancement. So basically, like kind of like Zero does. So that's quite nice. I think I want to put her in B tier. But like I said, I'm not too sure about her. She's one of the units where I'm just like, maybe low B is good for you, just based off what I've read. I'm not entirely sure though. So yeah, put her there. And then finally, we have Vial Mark II. I think Vial Mark II, I think I'd put in B tier as well, a bit higher than the other two vials. This vial technically has iframes because of the Goliath that he has access to. So there is that. All right, so I'm gonna put Vial Mark II. I think I put him up here, a lot higher than Tron. Because he's not as like one trick as Tron, where you want to just spam Lunch Rush and you has a long cooldown. Vial, he doesn't have as much utility as Tron, whereas Tron can like stun, but he does have showtime. He does have stackable attack boost. He does have launcher mastery. Tron has that too, but stackable attack boost happen while he's riding the ride armor and can stack up to 6 times, so it can up his damage a lot more than Tron can, I think. His card also amplifies the damage of riding while he's riding the Goliath, so that's really good. And with his DNA, he gets a huge defense buff, right? So that's really good as well. Again, he doesn't have his DNA right now, but even if he did, I think I'd put him around B tier, maybe high B, low A. But that's basically it for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to show your support. Helps the channel, helps you grow, shows me you enjoy the content. Let me know your thoughts down below. I'll try to keep these more frequently. Hopefully we get the next update soon so that I can update this and have more feedback with the characters' DNAs and things like that. And I would like to shout out those of you that support me on Patreon and became channel's members of the YouTube channel real quick, as that does help me out immensely and can show direct support. If you want to become a patron or even become a member of the YouTube channel, you can find information down below in the description or just under the video, I believe, for the YouTube channel members. And you can do so for as little as $1 or $2 pretty easily. But yeah, that's it for me, and I'll see you guys next time. Later. Alright, so real quick, because I forgot to do it before I ended the video. First, I apologize, my AC is on. It's really hot in my room, and I couldn't take it anymore. Anyway, I forgot to put Shikai on the list. Now, Shikai is not out yet, but by the time this video goes up, he might be, so I want to include him anyway, and he's only like a few days out. I think I'd put him as a solid B rank for right now. Maybe mid to low B. Actually, I really like Shikai. He has a bunch of unique things in his kit. He has out of control. He can penetrate. He has increased damage if he hits a target and out of control. He has sustain because of if you have a target that is in out of control status, he can heal, but he can also heal when defeating a target. He also has a unique version of player killer. He has amplification, damage amplification, and damage mitigation in his kit as well. So I just want to throw that in here at the end. But also, I wanted to mention that I'm still working on the document for the tier list. I'll have it in the description. It's not fully updated at this point. However, I might end up working on it a little bit on stream. So if at any point you guys want to come through on stream and just, I guess, see me work on that, you know, you can come do that. But I will have that in the description, like I said, for when I'm done, so that people can just Control F and find what they're looking for if they don't want to watch the entire video. But it's just going to take a while for me to get everything done because there are a lot of characters. Anyway, I'll catch you guys next time. Later.